Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had scored 30 points in 4 consecutive playoff games entering Game 3. He was held to just 24 points in the loss tonight on 20 shots. And as I mentioned earlier, limited to just 6 free throw attempts. Meanwhile, Tyrese Halliburton obviously had the biggest shot of this series in Game 1, but his best all-around performance tonight with 22 and 11, winning the point guard battle and the game. Let's go back inside the arena and check in with SGA at the podium.
And Carlson with the Oklahoman. Mark said that he didn't feel like their strategy defensively on you changed much, but their execution, he felt like their force was more on point tonight. What did you see from them defensively, and what impact did that have on the turnovers, especially you had tonight?
Yeah, they were aggressive. They were higher on the pick and rolls. They really were just, like Coach said, more aggressive, more forceful. Yeah, we gotta, starts with me, but we gotta apply that pressure back. Especially if you want to beat a team like that on the road, you gotta be the more forceful team for sure.
First row here on the left.
Shai, you guys go in the fourth quarter up 5, then you're only able to score 18 in the quarter. You only got 3 shots up. What got you guys stuck in the mud, and what kept you from going individually in the fourth?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because I don't see it from like a bird's eye view right now. After watching film, we'll definitely have a better idea. But they were aggressive. They were heavy in the crowd. I'm not sure how many points they had, but it felt like that when they scored, like we're going against a set defense, and it's always harder against a set defense. So off the top of my head, those are a few things, but I'm sure there's probably more that we can weave through once we watch film.
First row here on the right.
Joel Lorenz with the Oklahoma. Shai, it was almost too many winning plays to count on the Indiana side. It felt like in the fourth quarter, Obi's put back the steal on the inbound. Like, what was maybe the most frustrating part of the way the fourth quarter unraveled?
I'm not too sure. We just, like you said, it felt like they won all the 50-50 plays. They executed on both ends of the ball. When you give those two things up, and no matter what quarter, you're probably going to lose the quarter. Especially and then it goes back to especially on the road in a hostile environment, there are crowds behind them. So yeah, we got to take care of those things if we want to come out of game 4 with a dub.
All right, second row middle.
Yeah, very trammeled Tulsa world. Shai, their defensive pressure seemed to really affect you guys right there at midcourt. Both you and Jalen were always sort of corralled up. What was different about tonight besides maybe they're just playing with more force?
They were higher in the pick and rolls.
Had they been going that high?
No, they hadn't.
During the series?
No, they hadn't. That's what they were higher tonight in the pick and rolls. Like they were above the screen. So like when you come off it, you got to go backwards, and that's a little bit of. It goes back to a little bit more force. Like if we are more aggressive to start the pick and roll and setting it up, then we get a better angle. Things like that usually come down to like who throws the first punch, and I think that's what that was.
All right, first row, far left.
Nick Gallo, KC Thunder. Shai, what do you guys do as competitors here for the next 48 hours? I know you probably wish you could get right back out there and play those guys again right now, but how do you win these next 48 hours?
Yeah, learn from your mistakes, rest, recovery, do everything we can to be a better basketball team come next game. Yeah, I would say those things.
6 turnovers for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, something I'm sure they're going to take a close look at. He was talking about the pick-and-roll defense a lot, that the Pacers picked him up high. We even saw it after made baskets, Pacers imploring some full-court defense at times as well.
And we saw a little bit of that against Jalen Brunson in the Knicks series, picking him up, harassing him, making life uncomfortable for him. But he said it best right there, just the adjustments that Rick Carlisle and the Pacers made. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to dictate to Shai what we're going to do in that screen and roll action. And so that's what these playoff series, these finals are about, is making adjustments. It's not necessarily changing the lineup, but just in terms of how you defend, how you attack, and we saw it. I mean, the eyes don't deceive you, but the fact that Indiana was more aggressive, came out with more force on the defensive end, and it certainly worked and created a lot of problems for SGA, and not fouling him.
Yeah.
Being aggressive, being there at the point of attack, but also enforcing turnovers, but not putting him on the line where he is so dangerous.
Well, as a big, when a guard comes off the screen, you have a habit of backing up. And that's the worst thing you can do because you give a guy like SGA speed to come at you and make reads. By Indiana being up at the point of attack and making him go backwards, you're able to then keep your matchups the same because your guy can get over. And then again, they wore SGA down. You heard that 3 shot attempts, 0 assists in the fourth quarter. That had to be from, in the second quarter, picking him up, making things difficult, and then that definitely creates stagnation in the half-court offense because he's having to bring the ball up with all that pressure.
And, and going back, when you go small, instead of when you come off those pick and rolls, they're easy to switch. Because it's hard if he comes off those pick and there's a big guy, the big guy's got to be defensive. He can't be aggressive. Those big guys cannot be aggressive because Shai gonna cook them. But when you go smaller, they can just switch it, or they got a guy back there playing center field. So that clogs it up. That makes it stagnant also. So it's going to be interesting these next 48 hours because there's no secrets at this stage of the game.
Right.
You played over 100 games. There's no secrets.
101 tonight for both of these teams, total regular season and playoffs. It feels as if, and I don't want to make too much of it, but it feels like a defining moment in this Oklahoma City franchise, right? Maybe more particular for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, guy who wins the MVP, set the record for most points scored through the first 2 games of an NBA Finals career. They're now down 2 games to 1. I mean, we were talking coming into this finals, coming into this playoffs, this could be the start of something special. In order for this to be something special, you got to win a championship, and now you're trailing 2 games to 1.
And no question. Pressure on OKC, defining moment, the expectations because they were so dominant this regular season and so good last year, as a top team in the Western Conference last year. But Chuck said something earlier, like they don't have a lot of playoff experience. So it's a unique situation.
Yeah.
2 years ago, they were coming, but they weren't there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, bam, they took a huge step, and they've maintained that. And if you think about Indiana, like playing Boston pretty tough last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, the grit, the resolve, the just how to win, how to beat the Knicks last year, this year, this group with Indiana may have more playoff experience when it's all said and done. This is a defining moment for this group, and if they lose, then it's almost looked at as like.
But here's the thing: I've been up twice 2-1.
I'm not saying
3 times 2-1 in a finals. The other team is going to throw another punch, and it is about these next 48 hours making sure Indiana understands what got them there. It was not X's and O's. It had nothing to do with that. It was imposing your will on OKC, throwing the first punch, being physical, winning those 50-50 balls. And so there is a lot. It is our job to, be with talk about the adjustments and things like that. But at the same time, let's not forget what OKC's MO has been all season, and that's bouncing back after losses.
But I love what both of y'all said. But, Jared, to answer your question, Friday night is D-Day. Friday night is D-Day. That's their season.
Yeah.
If they get down 3-1, they're not going to win this series. Now, if they get it to 2-2, they go back to being the favorite. But Friday night is their game. And, a lot of people, you don't get to go to the finals and to say we're going to get back the next year. Look at the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
They probably going to break that team up. Think about it. Remember they had KD, Russ, and James. They never got back to the finals again. This notion, the Pacers hadn't been there in 25 years. Candace knows this because she's won multiple championships. Man, it's hard to get here. And every time you get there, that might be your only chance. Reggie Miller's one of the greatest ever. they hadn't been here in 25 years. Miles Turner, like, he been in the league all this time. He finally gets to the final. This might be the only chance because you're going to have to start paying people. OKC going to have to start paying people.
Right.
So, man, but Friday night is huge for this organization. It's a big. I can't wait because I love big games, but it's a huge deal to answer your question.
Chuck, do you think who wins Game 4?
Going to win the series? 100%. 100%.
You can't get down 3-1 in the NBA Finals.
But then if they split it and now
they go back to be the favorite.
Oh,
yeah. But whoever wins the game Friday going to win this series.
I want to circle back to something you've been stressing all night long, and this is not you being redundant. It's us backing up your information with some more good information. This one courtesy of Sam Quinn of CBS Sports. Check out this tweet here, Chuck. The Thunder are a +7 with the double big lineup of Hartenstein and Holmgren on the floor. They played 10 minutes with that look so far this series. Let me add to that. Here's what Justin Nixon has given me. The Thunder have outscored the Pacers 22-7-15 with both of them on the floor at the same time this series.
And you know what I like about it? I know you're going to chime in, but what Hartenstein does in the screen and roll action, he rolls.
Yes.
See, Chet, because he's not a big, strong, frame, he's going to pick and pop.
Yes.
And so now that roll puts so much pressure on the defense. Mm-hmm. And as a roller, he's a good decision maker as well.
That's the biggest, thing.
And we saw so much of that during the regular season. And so that's just one of the many things I think that having the double big lineup plays to the advantage of OKC, and we haven't seen it.
And playing out of the pocket.
Yes.
You talk about how difficult it is when you're coming off and you have a big that can play and operate out of the pocket, can draw and get open looks and open three-point shooters in the corner.
Yeah, and I just said, man, thank you, Sam. If that was a really good is that a tweet?
That was a tweet,
That's a tweet. Because I'm like, yo, man, and I think it's really hurting Shai more than anything because it's shrinking the floor for him. Because those big guys, when they roll, like she said,
you got to absorb it.
Chet can either spread the floor and make a three, but Hartenstein, he's a bull. And that would free up some offensive rebounding and things like that. So I'm going to be curious about the next 48 hours. But like I said, coaches never want to admit they're wrong because they're like, and it drives me crazy. They're like, nah, man, it's all right to admit you're wrong. This is your first time in the finals. You tried something. Like my grandmother used to say, how you know it was a bad decision? Because it didn't work.
Wise words.
Genius.
I said, my grandmother was a genius. I said, Granny, how you know it was a bad decision? Because it didn't damn work. I said, okay, good point.
You say coaches don't know when to admit that they are wrong. As we still have much more to do on the postgame show. We
don't.
We're going to hear from the players and coaches, but this is your last segment.
Oh,
I just wanted to get some foreshadowing, get a little teaser for what we're going to probably talk about Friday night, the epic annual golf matchup. Are you invited to play?
I was not invited. It's crazy.
Well, if you want to drive me around, you'll. We already got four.
Give me a year. Come back. I seen your swing, Chuck. Your swing.
Jared, I'm gonna just say we're gonna play with Dan Green from the NBA, Grant Hill, and the NBA security. I don't know about the security, but I'm better than Dan and Grant. I'm better than y'all.
Nobody named Wider Woods is gonna beat me. Ladies and gentlemen, tune in on Friday.
Hey, you call me Bryson the hamburger? Hey, Jared, he sends me a nickname. He says, hey, Wider Woods, how are you doing? And he called me Bryson the hamburger.
I'm betting on you, Grant.
Hey, Grant,
I'm betting on you. I'm betting against Chuck.
And we don't want to hear him. Are you going to admit who won?
We're going
to get some documentation.
I'll admit.
All right. That's Friday night with these guys. Thanks for joining us here. I'll come back with much more of the post-game show. Save me a seat, Chuck.